2 months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not.
When President Reagan and Attorney General Edwin Meese appeared in the White House briefing room on short notice today, no one was prepared for their surprising announcements that money from the controversial Iran arms deal was secretly funneled to the Contra rebels fighting the Sandinista government of Nicaragua.
In the 80s, there was Cold War drama. We fought the commies inside Nicaragua. Our friends were the Contras. Freedom was their mantra, so we sent them lots of money for guns and landmines. But Congress stopped the Contra money flow just because they moved a teeny bit of blow. But then a hero came forth. His name was Oliver North. He and Reagan went around the sissy Congress. Ollie North, Ollie North. You see, North secretly sold missiles to a harmless country called Iran that would always be a grateful ally. Then he gave the profits to the Contras. Genius! But the sales were uncovered by the press. Reagan and North began to stress, cause what they did was technically high treason. But it was totally justified. North volunteered to take the blame to save Reagan from prison rape's shame. The truth he did bury with his hot secretary, thanks to her shredder. He got off totally scot-free. Ollie North, Ollie North. He's a soldier and a hero and a novelist, and now he's on Fox News.
According to Attorney General Edwin Meese, Admiral John Poindexter, director of the National Security Council, knew about the secret transfer of money, and one of his deputies, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, arranged it. Poindexter resigned. North was fired. For his part, the president said he was not informed of North's scheme. And at the White House tonight, NBC's Chris Wallace has more on these unexpected developments. Chris?
Tom, officials here are calling it the worst scandal of the Reagan presidency, jeopardizing his policy in the Mideast and now Central America, and costing him a top advisor. The president was still maintaining today that his Iranian arms deal was not a mistake. But he said that over the weekend, the Justice Department uncovered one operation he had not known about, which led to Poindexter's resignation and North's dismissal.
The information brought to my attention yesterday convinced me that in one aspect, implementation of that policy was seriously flawed.
The president refused to say what the flaw was, leaving that to Attorney General Meese. And what Meese described was a scheme devised by North to get around the congressional ban against military aid to the Contras, then in effect. This year, he said, the U.S. sent $12 million in weapons to Israel, which Israeli agents then sold to Iran for much higher prices, $10 to $30 million more. The Israelis paid the $12 million back to the U.S., but transferred the extra money to Swiss bank accounts controlled by the Contras.
The only persons in the United States government that knew precisely about this, the only person was Lieutenant Colonel North. Admiral Poindexter did know that something of this nature was occurring, but he did not look into it further.
The Attorney General said later former National Security Advisor McFarlane had also been aware of the scheme. But Meese maintained involvement did not go any higher, that the President, Vice President Bush, Chief of Staff Reagan, Secretary of State Shultz, and CIA Director Casey all did not know of the plan. Meese did not explain how a Marine lieutenant colonel on his own could have arranged a deal involving 3 countries and millions of dollars, or why an admiral known for playing by the bureaucratic rules would not have told superiors. Meese said he's looking into whether any laws have been broken, and a blue ribbon panel will review NSC operations.
The government has a firm policy not to capitulate to terrorist demands, that no concessions policy remains in force. In spite of the wildly speculative and false stories about arms for hostages and alleged ransom payments, we did not, did not trade weapons or anything else for hostages. nor will we.
The ballad of the bullet, some freedom or some bullshit. Will we ever do it big or just keep settling for little shit? We brag on having bread, but none of us are bakers. We all talk having greens, but none of us own acres. If none of us own acres and none of us grow wheat, then who will feed our people when our people need to eat? So it seems our people starve from lack of understanding, cause all we seem to give them is some ballin' and some dancing and some talking about our car and imaginary mansions. We should be indicted for bullshit we inciting, telling children death and pretending it's exciting. We are advertisements for agony and pain. We exploit the youth, we tell them to join the gang. We tell them dope stories, introduce them to the game. Just like Oliver North introduced us to cocaine in the 80s when them bricks came on military plane.
A few months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not.
End of the Reagan era, I'm like Lemma 12er, old enough to understand the shit had changed forever. They declared the war on drugs, like a war on terror, but what it really did was let the police terrorize whoever. But mostly black boys, but they would call us niggas, and lay us on our belly while they fingers on their triggers. They boots was on our head, they dogs was on our crotches, and they would beat us up if we had diamonds on our watches. And they would take our drugs and monies as they pick our pockets. I guess that's the privilege of policing for some profits. But thanks to Reaganomics, prison turned to profits, cause free labor's the cornerstone of U.S. economics. Cause slavery was abolished unless you are imprisoned. You think I ambush it and then read the 13th Amendment. Involuntary servitude and slavery it prohibits. That's why they giving drug offenders time in double digits. Ronald Reagan was an actor, not at all a factor, just an employee of the country's real masters. Just like the Bushes, Clinton and Obama, just another talking head telling lies on teleprompters. If you don't believe the theory, then argue with this logic. Why did Reagan and Obama both go after Gaddafi? We invading sovereign soil, going after oil. Taking countries is a hobby paid for by the oil lobby. Same as in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Ahmadinejad say they coming for Iran. They only love the rich and how they load the poor. If I say any more, they might be at my door. Who the fuck is that? Staring in my window, doing that surveillance on Mr. Michael Render. I'm dropping off the grid before they pump the lead. I leave you with 4 words, I'm glad Reagan dead.
Wilson, 6, Reagan, 6, 6, 6.